unity with the L-O-V-E. Love is the solution, so set your love free with the L-O-V-E. Further evolution and blessed unity.
Good morning, all you self-lovers. Welcome to the Self-Love Show. I'm so excited to be here this morning.
Good morning.
Well, I'm your host, Trish, right? And this is my lovely, over here, other host, my co-host, Dawn Light.
Good morning, everyone.
Weird.
And our amazing guest.
Yeah, we have an amazing person on. Wait, that would be that.
Happy New Year!
All of these women are my friends. I just want to tell you that I'm slightly overly excited and terribly biased. But I do want to read Jessica's bio and her, like all the things that she's doing right now. She's fantastic. And she's really helped me in my growth and in my world. And I think that her work and how she's drawing communities of people together, not only virtually in person, but really inward into their togetherness. And that's what we get to work on today, which I'm really excited. So Jessica Ste, also known as the Power Priestess, is an emerging voice in embracing sexual empowerment. Through her immersions into shamanic, spiritual, and sexual realms, Jessica brings her gifts, tools, connections to support and serve the Power Priestess Posse. This is a private Facebook group comprised of 1,800 plus and growing, I just want to say, of women and a few beautiful men who are committed to stepping into their power, facing their shadows with courage, and becoming leaders they feel called to be. Trained as a dominatrix, a shaman, bodyworker, and certified sexuality coach, Jessica is here to guide and show others how to access their joy and unlock their freedom. And I will post all her links in as we continue to talk about what is today, what we're doing today, which I'd also like to just read this as well. So it's a powerful technique to integrate spirit, mind, and being into the present moment. This process allows you to cultivate deeper self-love through the embodiment of all your beautiful parts. They say that the eyes are the windows to our soul, and they are. And I know that the people watching, you and all of us, do also know that, eye gazing is a really powerful form of making love with someone. So I'm really excited to see which process and tool that Jessica shares with us today. So we get to learn how to listen to the innate tuition of the body and communicate directly with your soul. And just a little piece about Jessica's journey, that this is one of the most powerful ways that she's been able to connect with all her parts of her true divine being, love herself in vast new ways, and become more present in the world. It's one of her powerful money manifestors. And I'm really excited to share in her excitement about sharing it. Oh.
Yay.
Tell us a little bit about your journey with this work.
Oh gosh. It's kind of like, where do you begin? I guess you begin from the beginning. I spent most of my life in corporate America and in business and in a totally different life. And for many of us that start on maybe our path and our journeys, something called the hero's journey. It's the monomyth from Joseph Campbell, and he talks about that there's the call to adventure for the hero, and then there's the refusal to the call. And this is in every great legend, story, myth, all throughout time. And then there's an event. There's something that happens, and it propels, it compels, pushes, thrusts the hero onto their journey, onto their path, and they cross the threshold and meet their mentor, and away they go. So for me, I was deeply into empowering others. That's been a huge desire of mine my entire life, of being that coach and really uplifting people. And in the business world, I was great at connecting and having relationships, meaningful relationships with others. But I also felt like I wanted to do deeper work that had a really tremendous impact on the individual. And so I felt that inner conflict and struggle of, this is something that I'm really great at and I'm good at, but I feel like I'm meant to help others in a deeper, more profound way. And then in 2016, the event happened for me, and that was my little brother being in an accident and dying. And when that happened, it was such a moment where my whole world stopped, because I was like, what am I doing? What am I chasing success for? And all of these accolades I've built, and for what? What am I really here to do? And it was that event that, 6 months later, I was, well, maybe 8 months later, I was out of my career, out of my industry, crossing the threshold into the shamanic space, not knowing what I was walking into. And so being in this place now, and the journeys I've been on, all in service to the divine, to help others, and also reclaim a lot of the pieces of me that I wouldn't have found in traditional paths or methods. So that's a little bit about the journey.
Wow. So beautiful. Well, the way you say it and explain it, it makes so much sense. And it's very relatable to, my own experience in life of how seeking healing through non-traditional avenues, non-corporate ways, and experiencing the heroine's journey, the hero's journey, right? Like, we all have it. So thank you for sharing. It's really just touches my heart.
Thank you.
I the one piece of life that I have really grasped a hold of, like held on to really tightly, as something that makes me feel really confident and comfortable in my skin, is that the things that I have seen as traumas, or the things that I have seen as challenges, have been the most amazing places where I've grown into the person I am. Like, I wouldn't be doing this work, whatever work I am doing, if I hadn't had those experiences. Those were the most shaping, the most buffing places, the sexual traumas that I've experienced, the emotional experiences that I had, or the abandonments that I had, or believed that I have, are now places where I've learned and grown so much into being able to help and hold other people in that.
Absolutely.
So I think that these challenges that we face are really diamond in the rough beauty.
Uh-oh, you froze. Technological glitches happen.
I like to think of energy. Her energy is so powerful and so strong that it shorts the technology.
Oh, I'd like to think that too. Thank you.
Did you want to re-say what it was? To your point, so that's the surface level. I mean, it's a deep level, like that trauma piece of losing my brother. That was a traumatic event. Our mother died when I was 24, so that was another traumatic event. But the deeper layers were the traumas I didn't know about. I did experience some abandonment. I have a anxious attachment that I learned as an adult, but growing up didn't know. But even beneath that is being told that there's these signs and indicators that I've had sexual abuse, and not knowing, not having the memory, not knowing. And so that was also kind of like the trying to reclaim the pieces of myself. So in terms of what led me to become a sex coach, what led me to training as a dominatrix, what led me to, entering into the sacred sexual realms of priestess. Well, that was like trying to recover the pieces of me to understand why I have certain tendencies or behaviors that maybe in the 3D world don't make sense, but in the temple priestess sacred sexuality realm, it's like, oh yes, this is like an obvious thing. And that's been a huge shift too, is I think that there's so many of us who feel called to do really, really deeper work, and we don't have the temple anymore to do that in. And so then we're looking at what are the avenues and vehicles to show up in that. And there's tremendous shame and judgment and criticism and all the things in it. And, you know, it's taken me years to shed off, to be able to say, like, I'm a dominatrix, you know, and saying that I'm a shaman and I do, you know, sexual healing work, and, you know, like that like shedding all those veils of being feared of what will happen, what will I lose, what do I stand to lose by standing in my truth, and what do I stand to lose by stepping into my authenticity, and in what brings me joy, at what cost, what do I risk,
Powerful.
and that is, I know,
Powerful.
and that's like the courage
Speak on it.
path.
That's so
Yeah.
powerful. I acknowledge you right now. I acknowledge your bravery for being willing to risk it all for the level of authenticity that it brings.
Yeah, take that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So profound. Like that just pulled my heart forward in every way. Just like that authenticity just like explodes everyone forward, and like, yes, saying yes to that level of authenticity inside of you, and that there's no reason to fear moving forward into that there is really nothing to lose, only so much to gain.
The only thing that you lose is story.
Oh.
Victim.
Ding, ding, ding. The mirror thing is so funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mirrors.
You get to lose the things that make you play small. And so it really makes you ask yourself, what are you committed to? Are you committed to authentic, powerful living? Or are you committed to playing small, to your victimhood, to the codependency triangle? Are you committed? What are you committed to?
So there's a yes and to that, right? So there's the yes, and there's also the ancestral lineage and the cultural stuff that's been passed down for thousands of years of what has happened to a woman when she stands in her power and stands for who she is and what she believes in. Well, death a lot of times, or being ostracized, being rejected by society, like tremendous things. So there's a lot of upheaval in that, right? And owning that piece, and also like I feel so fucking I feel so thank you. I feel so fucking blessed that, like, you know, that we are Americans, like that I am an American, that as long as I have the freedom, even though there's censorship, I still have the freedom to express myself. I can dress how I want. I can go teach whoever I want, whatever it is that I want to do. I can have whoever it is as a client. I don't need permission, but there is that inherent need for permission. And I remember, like, you know, there's certain times when I come into communities, I'm like, I want permission that it's okay to be me. I want permission that, you know, that I can share my gifts. I want that kind of permission. And there's something about like coming in with honor and compassion and respect, and also being like, here I am. Yes. Here I am. So we're shedding a lot of that stuff shamanically, energetically, spiritually. I mean, there's a convergence on so many timelines happening right now, and especially like this time of history is so ironic to me, that at the time when so many people are being squelched and shut down, and cancer culture and like all that stuff, like to actually be bold and step forth and be like, actually, this is who I am and this is what I stand for. And, you know, if I get shut down, I'm going to spring back up again, and I'm going to keep on going and keep on going and keep on going, because at what cost again? So now at what cost? Now we're at a place of at what cost, by you not speaking your truth, by you not owning who you are, when it's so much easier to fall into the flow because you don't want to disrupt other people, or lose favor with them, you know, during this time. And that's, again, a reason why not again, but this is a reason why I really love the posse. I really love this container. So yes.
Did you all hear that? Like, I just want to take a pause, because that last piece, if you weren't paying attention, rewind it, go back to that piece. What is the cost of you not being authentic? Of you not living in your full truth and your power right now? Like, what is the cost to you, and what is the cost to everyone around you? Okay, and Rand, I just wanted to pin that. Sometimes I just like to interrupt and say something to the wall. Wait, hold on. That was important. Pay attention there.
I just, what's coming forward for me is to just speak for a moment about the shame of, you know, there's always some shame tied to our hero's journey. You know, for me, I had so much shame around like owning the fact that like to come out in public and really speak about child abuse and like how that affected me and impacted my life. That's been my hero's journey or heroine's journey. And like the deep levels of shame that I had carried for so long in my life, and the fear of just speaking on it, and, you know, the fear of like, what is my family going to think? And all, you know, I had so much head talk in my head around it all, and like really coming forward and fully owning it, and like standing in the light of like, you know, if I can do it, you can do it too. And like owning that authenticity there has been so freeing, because, you know, that's my truth. I walk that truth. I've experienced it in my bones. And I am here as the person, as a beacon of light for others to say, hey, wow, I'm so proud of you, and you can do it too. No matter what your heroine's journey, no matter what the shame, the level of deep pain and shame that you've carried about whatever trauma has been in your life. And the reality is we're human. We all have trauma. So we all have something to heal. We've all come with spiritual lessons that no matter who you are on this planet and this earth school, we all have spiritual curriculum, and it looks different for every single person, but it doesn't mean that every single person's curriculum is important, and it is a heroine's journey in there. And so it's just giving freedom to that, to say, you know what, if I can do it, you can too. No matter how painful it's been, no matter how shameful it's been, your story matters. Your truth matters, and breaking through it to the other side of just fully disclosing yourself and full authenticity matters.
Yeah.
Woo! That just flowed through me so powerfully. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Well, if you missed that, you should go back there too.
Go back and watch that whole thing. That whole thing. As you're sharing that, I was like, oh, I hope so many of the beauties in the posse are watching this and being like, fuck yes.
Well, I would like to read a couple before we move on. I'd also like to just shout out to Candace, who is also a beautiful priestess. Hi, Candace.
Hi, Candace.
Marie is here. She's
Yay.
and I'd like to read what Heather said. And she said, I used to feel that my story was all I had. I'm so glad that I can finally say that I'm now more important than my story.
Yes.
Hot damn.
Heather drops some amazing truth bombs for sure. She always brings so much. Yeah. So I want to acknowledge you too, Dawn and Trish, for, you know, owning your truths and bringing your tools and sharing your stories and your vulnerabilities and the abuse that you've been through and the traumas that you've had. And, you know, our traumas, I believe, lead us to our treasures and to our joy, but that takes a lot of consistent commitment to the practices to getting to that place, and then some, and then some, and then some. But I acknowledge both of you, especially for you to being so authentic and vulnerable in the public space, in the public, can I repeat that? The public space, for you to come in and sharing, like, this is what I went through and this is what I had. And like, again, so much of what I've been able to share, I've been able to do it in the posse, you know, because it feels good. You know, I know I have where there's so much love in there. You are stepping out even more boldly to me and like taking those arrows on, you know, and the leaders, they say that the leaders are the ones that have the most arrows in their back. You know, the ones are like, they are going to, or maybe even in the front, like they're on the front lines. They're going to show you, they're going to remove their armor. Like, this is part of being the new leaders in my mind, is like, okay, we're taking our armor off. We're taking our shields off. We're showing our hearts. We're cracking open. We're showing our emotions. Like, you know, how many women have been taught it's not okay to cry. It's not okay to express yourself. I freaking cry at least a few times a week during my lives, because I'm in it, but it gives them so there's the permission too, there's the permission that you both are giving, that I'm bringing, you know, again, as being the faces, and we're being willing to, like, yes, see my wounds, yes, see my stories, yes, see my all the shit, like, here we go, and see the
All
beauty, and see all of me, not just the good. I was thinking about that today, about like, beware of the people that only show you their good side. Beware of the people that only show you the that. And I
got it
used
all together.
I used to do that, and that's why I also feel like I can say that, because I used to do that. I used to hide everything, and now I'm like a little. Some people might say the pendulum swung the other way. It's like, I don't want to hide anything from you. This is what's up. This is what I do. Like, even talking to someone in business, and I was like, hey, FYI, because he's like, oh, it might be great to have you on my team. FYI, I'm a dominatrix. I'm a priestess. Like, I do this work. I don't want anything to like suddenly be a liability for you or for me. I'm not going to hide. I'm done.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
All of you is welcome here.
Yes.
Invited and wanted.
Yes.
Come on.
and you embody that. That's the thing, is the embodiment piece.
Thank you.
So I really want to. I know what it's like to speak so vulnerably in front of others, and I know you've grown accustomed to that. And I know there's also a lot of people who are like, probably like, I could never do what you do, and I would have felt the same until a few months ago. So for people to know too, you don't have to be immediately jumping out of the gate, but to honor you.
Thank you so much. Like, I really hear in your beautiful share, thank you for honoring us. And Trish and I have been practicing wildly since the show, really, like, let's just be full vulnerable about all of it, you know, and it's such a good feeling to practice and cultivate that, and really give others permission, and have really interesting topics come on the show constantly, and just really support like the evolution of people. But most importantly, like, what I hear in your share is really about liberation. You really seek that liberation in yourself and in others through the work you do, and through the tools you share, and through your powerful experience of self and with others. That it's really about liberation.
Yes. How did you know?
I feel it so powerfully right now. Just it's in your voice. I hear it and feel it.
I would like to just touch on something that for the people who are listening and rewatching this, is that it's not about it's about living in your fuck yes right now. It's about living in this now moment. And so it's not like Dawn, Jessica, and I, we're just like spilling our guts right off the bat. It takes, there's a fuck yes now, and then there's a fuck yes now, and then there's a yes now. It's not like, oh my God, I'm going to step fully into my, I'm terrified, shaking in my boots, pissing my pants thing, and then being like, I don't know if I can share this. I'm not going to, I mean, there's levels of vulnerability. It doesn't just go from 0 to 150 like now. I mean, if you want to do that, go ahead, and just know that there might be some intimacy thresholds and a hangover that you might have, an emotional hangover. So I'm just saying that it's not like we got here just yesterday. You know, it's been months of this. It's been months and years for you, Jessica, too. It's like, I mean, daily practices and showing up vulnerably on camera, right? Like I was there when you started that, and I was like, wow. And how you unfolded, how you become more brave and courageous is through trusting your own truth. And how you do that is that you really hear your yes and you live in your yes now. It's not about abandoning yourself or pushing yourself or overwhelming or underwhelming even. It's about living on the precipice, the front lines of your yes.
And what you're saying is also about practicing it in your daily relationships, right? Like that's the deepest place to practice the intimacy and the vulnerability, is to lean into like fully telling the truth. You know what I mean? Like I can fully tell my truth with every person I love in my life, and practice that, you know what I mean? And practice that opening and opening and opening and opening, you know, that comes. Like Spirit always will give you another opportunity.
Thank you for bringing that up.
So gorgeous. To
I
your
had
point, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
To your point, as you're sharing, it's like the veils of vulnerability, right? So, like maybe we remove this first layer of vulnerability and share how we feel, and maybe the next layer of vulnerability as we're like increasing our heart strength of sharing so vulnerably in our courage, the courage piece. It's interesting that you say that, because I really didn't share much about my dominatrix isness, I energetically, but not so much in the actual physicality of it. And also sharing about more like the temple self-pleasuring ceremonial piece. I didn't have that. And the posse, we've been cultivating. It's been alive for about 4 months, and it reached just, I guess, no, 3 months, just over 3 months, but it reached that the winter solstice. And like I arrived at the winter solstice, and I'm like, I've been building up this event like for the winter solstice for months in the posse, and I have nothing planned. And it's like getting a woman super aroused and then dropping her off and being like, all right. And so I was like, what am I going to do on this day? And like it just came in of like showing myself as the temple dominatrix and what that looks like, and going into ceremonial self-pleasuring and doing that with the group, and putting that on and putting it together. And that was the most vulnerable period that I have been on camera, revealing all of myself. And there were other beauties in there too. And it was so incredible to do that. It took time. It took months of cultivating and building trust in the group, and building that vulnerability piece, and building that kind of love and that support. And I think that that's so much of what women are looking for too, not to be the deep plunge drop off, or jump off the, fly out of the plane. Like I've done it. I've gone skydiving, taking those leaps, but there's also that answering the call to your courage, okay, what is the next courageous step? Okay, what's the next courageous step? And then it just came, and it was a yes, because I knew, I'm like, of course, this is like kind of like the last threshold that I haven't crossed, it's like, of course. And it was so gorgeous and transformative. So to your point about the veils, to me, it's like that, the layers, and that does take time, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
It's totally true. I mean, can I just speak to you? Like, I feel slightly called in by Dawn, because she spoke directly to something that happened for me yesterday, is being courageous in being fully authentic and showing up in my shadow or fear or whatever the shadow looks like for you, and being courageous with my partner, my lover. And we created a container to share our fears. And I just want to remind everyone that if you want deeper intimacy, the way to get deeper intimacy is through vulnerability. But you have to do that. So connection is vulnerability, and intimacy. So we got to share our deep fears about what love looks like, and where we want to go, where we want to go with each other. And it was really powerful. It was really a courageous move to be like, okay, can we slow down? Let me reflect back to you what I heard. This is, these are the things that are coming up. And it was so powerful to just be heard, but also to share, to also hear, to hold someone's courageousness. Because we both knew what was going to happen. Like stuff was coming up, right? And that's also in the fuck yes. That's also in the next courageous step. I mean, we all can sit here and just live that easy. Well, no, we can't. I know that we can't. The three of us, like, this is not part of our system in the world. We can't just sit back and be like, okay, we're just gonna let everything, go on. Dial. We're just gonna like dial it in, and it's just gonna free float. And like, that's just not who we are, obviously, because we're gonna keep showing up in vulnerability and courage, and face our shadows, and keep shining light on them, and keep loving them deeper there, and loving them deeper there, and loving them deeper there. Right? I know that's my vision of you both, and myself, is that we're shadow lovers, shadow lighters.
Shadow lighters. I like that.
What do you call? There's a name that you call the people who hold the light.
Lamplighter.
No, she has a term for it. What is it?
Lighthouse?
Yes, the lighthouse.
Yeah, I call the beauties lighthouses. So I can explain more
Gorgeous.
what that means for me in the container. But I wanted to acknowledge you, Trish, for having that vulnerability piece. And again, like having the tools that you have. So to go back into the tools that you ladies offer, you women offer to, and Love Coach Academy offers, to deeper connection and sympathy and compassion. If I say that again, vulnerability, authenticity. These weren't tools I grew up with. I remember being on one of the shows and starting to cry because I was like, if my parents had these kind of tools, their marriage may have been different. One, and I would have had a better modeling too of how to communicate and connect with others. And I believe so powerfully in that work was Paul Sterling. Like he was sharing his, connected communication with your partners. And I was so moved by it. I was sobbing because I felt the pain as when I was a child, seeing my parents so unhappy and in my mind. So in my memory is that they weren't happy. They weren't able to communicate. They couldn't meet each other. That's what it is. They couldn't meet each other. And I could see that and feel that. And so as a child, feeling so helpless to that and powerless, not being able to, and so it's like, oh, maybe if I get my parents a gift certificate to their favorite restaurant, maybe that will fix their marriage. Maybe, that's, I mean, what a burden for a child, to like wanting to like
Right.
fix it.
And that's where the codependency piece steps right in, right? Like that's the learned codependency pattern of like, I can fix it. If I just do this, it'll, you know what I mean? And so that's the link right there, what you're speaking about.
Yeah, so the power of these tools, they talk about all the things that are happening in this world and how there could be tons more divorces. Maybe if people had these tools, maybe they could actually deepen and have more intimate relationships than they ever have in their life with their partners. Maybe they could completely turn around a marriage, completely turn around a family. So obviously it's not a magic pill, but to have tools, like that's the thing. We didn't have tools. And so I really like anyone that's watching this, if you're new, or if you've seen it again, or maybe you need another reminder, gentle reminder, what Love Coach Academy is doing and what you all have to offer as love coaches is gorgeous right now. Because if you didn't have this, if we had COVID 2 years ago, Trish, Dawn,
yeah,
and you didn't have these tools, like I lived in magic last year. I lived in freaking magic. We were lucky, so freaking blessed for the people and the circumstances and all that. Not many people can say that. But another big part is the commitment to that deeper relating.
yes,
and those tools. So
absolutely.
Thank you.
Speaking of tools, thank you for bringing that forward. I think it's the perfect segue to actually share self-empathy tool, since we actually do that on the show.
I love you.
Yes, I'm going to close my window here and all right. Is everybody ready? I just invite everybody, we're going to share the self-empathy tool right now. And I just invite you to, feel into your heart space. We've been sharing a very vulnerable moment in this show today about authenticity and vulnerability. And this tool here is the exact way to deepen your understanding of self-empathy for yourself and others, and how really open the window of your heart and your soul to compassion. So here we go. I just invite you to really lean in with a deep breath. Call in your inner counselor. Allow that thought of I can access my inner counselor inside, my higher self. And I invite you to really pay attention to what thoughts come forward in your mind. Just one thought that's up for you right now? You know, we've been stirring the pot today of authenticity and vulnerability. So what's on the edge for you of where you play small or where you might hide from it? That place that there might be a fear. So acknowledge the thoughts from no more than 15 seconds. What's coming forward? And just pay attention to that thought or sentence. And I want you to lean into it and drop down underneath it. State your feelings around it. What do you feel? What's there? Acknowledge it. And I invite you to just go even deeper underneath it. What do you want? What needs to be honored in you that's longing to be felt, heard, seen, expressed? What's there? What's asking to be honored? And be honest with yourself. Can the other people in your life meet this need that's there or want? And this is a gorgeous opportunity to self-source. Can you pour love and acknowledgement and honoring into that place and self-source for yourself and meet that need or want with the full capacity of your heart, the full capacity of your loving essence? You are loving essence. And acknowledge that. Give that to yourself. This is what self-sourcing is just really leaning into ourself and acknowledging the part that's wanting attention or kindness or to be heard or validated. Whatever it is that's there, you can meet it with so much love and kindness and compassion for yourself and others. And this tool will also help you lean in when people are sharing vulnerably and deeply. You can learn to reflect to them, wow, I really hear you in this way. Self-empathy bonds us, brings us closer. Thank you for the opportunity to share this today.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That was gorgeous.
Thank you.
Gorgeous. The opportunity to self-source, I think that is the antidote to me to the codependency. Is that, yeah. And I can say that for me as a woman, and I know there's so many women that feel like they feel bad for having needs, but they have the need, and then how do they express the need? But then how can they source and come? It's very confusing. So to have that practice that you just shared, and that was 2 minutes, 3 minutes. What a shift! To drop into that. That's a really gorgeous and accessible and simple. There's sometimes when you have to. Even with meditation, okay, focus on this, now think about that, now focus on your breath, now there's a lot of things. So for you I hear the simplicity of it and the clarity too of the steps. So thank you.
Thank you.
It's so important to really be able to boil down, or to find the nuggets in all of it. So, we all have monkey mind, and we all have, so really how it is that our thoughts are chemicals that we've run a few thousand times. It's a habit. It's a chemical of around a feeling that we've named. So a feeling is also a chemical. So we've created this pathway of thinking based on our feelings. And what the feelings are pointers to is really those values of the wants and needs. And so when we start to look at people, not because of our thoughts or necessarily our feelings, when we start to see ourselves and other people through their wants and needs, then we start to see them as even more human, right? Because that's what we do. Is we behave out of getting our needs met. We're animals in some ways, but we're really complex animals that we have different types of wants and needs. It no longer just looks like, you know, food, water, shelter, you know, some sort of like love or comfort. It looks like I have a need for being authentic. I have a need for feeling safe. And Dawn's, you know, idea or her need for safety might look different than Jessica's or mine. And so if I can actually boil it fully down into, you know, I really need safety. And for me to self-source safety would mean that I need to cuddle up on the couch, take some deep breaths, or go for a walk, or spend time by myself, or whatever it looks like for me, or whatever it looks like for you, and to be able to fully get into my center. And so that's what this tool really offers you if you choose to self-source. I'm not saying like never ask anybody for anything, because that's unrealistic. It's sourcing what you can, your needs first, so that when you show up, when I show up to Jessica and be like, okay, I'm still feeling that I want safety. I've sourced this way. I've done the things that I know how to do. I'm wondering how you can help me source safety together. And that's a really powerful request in building relationships, not just with your lover, but with your friends and your parents and your family. And I mean, I'm not suggesting you go to the grocery store unless you have no one in your life. I mean, there are grocery store people are really lonely right now too. I'm just saying, like, that's the way to show up. So yeah, you're self-sourcing, which means that you're looking at yourself as more empowered than needing someone else to meet all of your needs.
Mm.
And I hear what you're saying so powerfully, Trish. And I also want to add in the languaging of making a request in a relationship is powerful. Instead of showing up and expecting the person to know what you need because you're already in it, to really lean in and like really let them into your world by saying, I have a request. When you say that, people want to lean in. We all want to serve. So you give someone permission to serve you by saying, I have a request.
Mm.
It's really powerful, right?
Mm.
And to know that, to actually come at it from like, I have a request for you not to be such a or whatever it is. Like, don't do it. It's finding that place of what your want and need is, like that one like little chunk of juice. Like it's so powerful to come to a place of like, hey, Jessica, I have a request to whatever want, like the boiled down want, need, and value is. It's so much more powerful than coming to you in a place of like, I'm pissed. This is the thought that I'm running. And now you're already like, I don't know. Like it just is an automatic thing for human beings. Unless you like conflict. And some people do.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about you, Jessica. Specifically, is that you show up. I don't know if anyone else knows this, but it would be like, you show up, and so does Dawn. Like it's again, we're coming back to that courageousness, the courageousness to look at your shadow, the courageousness to ask for what you want, and the courageousness to be in your authentic vulnerability. That takes a lot of courage. And the difference between courage and bravery, does anyone know? It's bravery, you go in blind. You're scared and you still do it. Courage knows you know that you're doing something dangerous and that you could die, and you still do it anyway because it's the right thing to do. These shows get really heavy and deep. Is everyone out there following along? Are we losing people? Because it's just like, should we bring it back up a little bit? Do you want to take a deep breath together?
No, I think that no. Why we don't need? We can hang. We can be here.
We're
We
right
don't have
there.
to. We don't. There's no like. Yeah. Like, and that's like part of our culture too. Is we immediately like, oh, are you feeling something? Hold. And I know Trish goes there, so I know that. But you know, like, and this is something that I teach. That I really drill in and I teach in the posse is like, there's no bypassing. We're going to go down there with you. I'm not going to do the work for you. I'm not going to rescue you, but I'll go down there with you. and
Yes.
we'll do this together. That is the shaman. That and I think that's what warrior women have done. And I've known this because this last year I was so hoping for the man to come and rescue me. Oh, I wanted the knight to come in and like just whisk me up. And it's so funny because they didn't. A woman came in instead and was like, "Oh no, no, we're not going to do this. We're going to go down. Let's get to the root. Like, let's go." And I'm like, "Damn, that's how I want to serve. That's what I want, how I want to show up." So,
Yes.
so I honor that piece. There is that heaviness. And when you're talking about brave and courage, I'm like, well, shit, I'm definitely both. I am very brave. When I talk about how the goddess works through me, I put a blindfold over my eyes and I'm like, this is what it's like to work with her. You're moving and you're trusting and you're feeling in. And it's that trust walk with Indiana Jones where he's like stepping onto the Holy Grail, where he's looking and he has to put his foot out thinking he's going to plummet and die, and it like lands on the bridge. Like that is what it's like for me to work with the goddess, blindfolded, feeling it out, doing the thing, taking the action step, no idea where I'm going, keep going, it's all going to lead, and that's the brave piece. So yeah.
Full body chills. Woo!
The
Yeah.
courage, trust walk. I'm thinking about that now. I'm pinning that.
It is a trust walk and answer the
It
call.
is.
It's answering the call, and I say, like, warrior up, let's go, like, let's do this in the state of everything. I mean, we've been preparing for the last few months. Now this year you get to apply it even more. So I did want to mention about the lighthouse. So to me, so I channel, and to me what came through is that the goddesses want to return, and they want to shine through vessels, through lighthouses, and for particularly for women to be strong enough to hold that strength and that spirit, and be that. To me, requires doing our shadow work, requires us to embrace all the parts of who we are, and holding that. So being the lighthouses to house the light, both of ourselves and the goddess to emanate through us.
So true.
If you want more Jessica, I'm typing in all her awesome, fabulous links here. So go ahead and follow her in those places. And, I'd love to hear more about how we really, truly can step into our courage, how we can, and how we have the opportunity to work with our shadow. Can you talk to us about that?
There's a lot of pieces to shadow, and there's a lot of paths to go there. One of the things that has been the most transformative for me this last year, I was in, now it's just me. Oh,
Don't worry.
Spotlight.
Your work. This is
yes.
the love you want to share.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So there's a bit of a story. So I like to tell stories. I was in a psychedelic journey, and I spent a few hours in the dark because I wanted to go into my darkness. I wanted to see all the pieces of who I was, so that whichever partner came into my life, there wasn't going to be anything that would be a surprise, because I would have seen all of me. And so that was my intention, was like go into the depths of my darkness. And it's quite traumatic. And I went to a windowless room, and I turned the light off, and I put a towel underneath, and I energetically sealed the door, because I really I was committed to going down in there. And being willing, there's something about being willing to see your darkness. There's something about being willing to see your shadows, and not to slay them, but to meet them, to know them, to understand them, and to have that kind of courage to do that, because a lot of us don't want to see the ugly pieces. We want, we've been taught that it's not okay. So to have that kind of commitment to it was a delight. And what ended up happening was just one of the most beautiful, incredible, hilarious journeys I've ever had in my life, where I spent 4 hours in the dark, very self-entertained as I was going through all these things. And then I turned the lights on, And I was looking in front of the mirror, and I as I was getting closer to the mirror, I was looking into my eyes, and I got it. Like, sorry, when I shift, that's like energy. Like, I got it that like when I looked into the mirror, I reconnected with my soul. I saw that my eyes were how I connected to the divine and to my soul. And what I got was that when I was little, you know, they talk about the first lie that separates you out of truth, but that separates you from truth and the divine, that you're not perfect and in divinity informed. That first thing that I believe that happened was, you know, I was looking in the mirror and being told that I was vain. Don't look at yourself. What are you doing? Like, look at her looking in the mirror. And if you notice how there's babies and like they're so excited and they're tapping on the mirror and you know they're loving what they're seeing. And what I got in that journey was because I was seeing my soul and I was seeing God. And to reconnect with that again. And I was like, oh, hi. And it was like this reconnection. Like I was sobbing to like reconnect to my soul again. And it meant so much to me. And so then the next day I was in another journey and I had grabbed a mirror, this one, and I grabbed the mirror and I had put it in front of me and I was talking to myself in the mirror and my body started moving. And then my body had a voice and it started coming forth. And I was suddenly realized in that moment that my body is made out of 3 trillion cells of consciousness. It's made out of the same things as the stars. It has its own communication with me, with my mind, with my consciousness. And there was this unification that happened that weekend of reconnecting to my soul and reconnecting to my body in a whole new way, and really, really understanding that my soul came with this thing that it wanted to do to bring into the earth, and my body was a fuck yes for that. Fuck yes, I want that. This is a thing you want to do? Oh yeah, I'm totally in. And they merged. And that's when I realized that who I've been searching for my whole life, my soulmate, was me. The whole time. Searching all around the world for someone to be my other half, was with me the whole time.
Yeah.
So the mirror work that I do is very, very powerful, that I'll spend time in the mornings, and it's almost like the very first thing is I'll wake up and I'll connect into myself, into my body, into my spirit, and we start having a conversation, and my body works as a pendulum. So I know what a yes and a no is, and I start getting deeper truths about where we're going to go together as a unified piece, and sharing the shadow pieces and sharing the broken pieces and the things that I love and my desires and, you know, whatever comes forth, and seeing how that integrates and is congruent and aligned with all the parts of my being. So that is a little bit about that practice.
Wow. Just incredible. That you share is so incredible and so valuable for so many women to hear, and men too, you know, like that we can all do this work. We can all meet all parts of ourselves and meet the shadow, because there's a gift in it. There's a deeper awareness, a reconnection to self, to, you know, which is God, love, allowing ourselves to fully love God that we are. Powerful. I just really relish in what you're saying, because I feel like I've had my own experiences over my lifetime of really seeking that, you know, and I've done mirror work, I've done, you know, psychedelic journeys myself, and really, you know, dove into the deep end of like, I'm willing to go there. I'm willing. And even to the point where I had one psychedelic journey, it's coming forward, that I literally was willing to die to all parts that needed to die. And I would literally say, I die to this, and I would lay back and let myself, and then my breath would be like so powerful, and come back in and be like, I am that I am. And just have that deeper awareness of like, I let God in all parts of myself. I let spirit lead in all places in my life, in all parts of myself, the dark, the light, the good, the bad, the whatever my ego has wanted to identify as light and dark, right? That it's all a part of God.
It's gorgeous.
I think
Thank
it's
you for sharing that.
Really powerful to, I mean, you know, Dawn, I'm a really big proponent, and I don't know if you know Jessica, but I'm a really big proponent for letting one's thoughts rest on self, rather than projecting outward. And I think that that's a really powerful practice, to allow oneself to eye gaze, to allow truth to come from your own eyes, and really honor that place. Like, not as a vanity tool, but even as like a place of, hey, you're beautiful. Like, giving yourself, it's self-sourcing, that self-sourcing source, right? So just allowing, and really, like, when you're in love with someone and you're gazing into their eyes and you're looking at all the beautiful pieces of their corona and all of these pieces, and you're like, oh, their eyes, and just to be able and to really give yourself the gift of being able to do that for you. To look deeper,
So
to allow in. And it's so safe too, to allow you in.
It's confronting too, because there's times where I look in the mirror and my eyes are like, I'm pissed at you. And I'm like, oh shit. You know, I'm like, it's like, we haven't communicated. We haven't been connecting. And now, you know, now we're in this moment. And so there's times where I'm like in the mirror talking with myself for in a good while before I can start seeing the softening in my eyes. I see it. So it's you know, as much as, again, whatever is happening around us is happening within us, right? And so, to me, like giving women permission, especially the ones who are told that they're vain or to not look at themselves in the mirror, or you're so, you know, concerned about your looks, then take the time to, I'm giving you permission. I'm encouraging you to, like, giving yourself that chance. And if you want to take it to another level, you know, there's also yoni gazing, you know, so using the mirror as to look at your yoni, or what I say, rose, you know, and giving her breath in her center stage, you know, and connecting with her in a deeper way. Because, I mean, that can be a whole other conversation, but that's where our magic, our manifestation, our joy is through her. And so the more that we can honor and appreciate and celebrate and worship her ourselves, the deeper the connection and the magic. So, yeah.
Just
gorgeous.
So I'd love to hear, we have a few more minutes, and I'd love to hear any reflections from the people who are watching. We have a good group of people who are watching right now. And I'd love to hear what you're getting out of this, like our conversation today, which has been really heartfelt, and what this tool of just really also just allowance of and being courageous and brave to fall more deeply in love with yourself, your true self, not like the ego self, but the self, like the higher self, right? So if anyone's watching and wants to share that, I'd love to hear a little bit about how this is landing for you.
And could I take a moment and just acknowledge the beauties in the posse, who a lot of them are here. You know, it's been such a beautiful beginning journey with them. You know, I think we're over 1,900 members now. And yeah, and they're just gorgeous in so many ways. And I could actually literally talk about hundreds of them and how they've touched my life. But the importance of when we're able to come together in community, and that we're not about competition and comparison, but we're there for admiration, appreciation, and and stepping into our courage. Like the goddesses or the divine wants us all to be in our light, and we are all lighthouses and we are all stars. So I love how they've shown up, and it's been such a gift and an honor to hold them, and to be held, and to be called up and answering our calls like we do. So I just want to acknowledge them. Wouldn't be here without them. So thank you.
Gorgeous. Yay.
I'm also part of the posse, and have mostly just step back to really just watch this whole garden bloom. I'm really seeing people step into, women and some men, yes, to step into their empowerment and to really feel held in this community, and to ask questions and to really show themselves vulnerably and authentically and empowered, and their movements and their words and the things that they, their expressions that they share is so powerful. I'm really, thank you for inviting me in, Jessica.
Thank you. And Don, we'd love to have you too.
I'm so joining. This is great. I already feel a part of the posse anyway.
You are. I know you are. It's a formality. You're already.
Yeah.
I'd love to just give you both deep gratitude. Jessica, thank you for being on the show and being able to be really flexible as well. Amazingly flexible. And I'm glad that it worked out perfect for you. And I'm also really grateful I'm more grateful than your flexibility for your wisdom and your love and your widely open heart and your continuous choosing to break open your heart. Because I see it every time on the posse, and I see it here, to just really be here with us. I'm so grateful for you and our friendship. I love you.
Thank you.
Aww, so sweet.
And Don, I'm so grateful for you and how you show up in my life as the perfect soulmate in my life. You're constantly loving me and calling me in and reminding me what's important. And I love that. I love your wisdom and your inspiration. I have the dreamiest friends. I'm so
Oh, thank you, babe. I feel the same way, honestly. I thank God every day for the treasure of you in my life and how we share so deeply. And it's so activating on all levels, the way we support each other and hold each other no matter what's going on. And it's helping us activate at such great levels that we turn around and reflect that to all the people in our life and our clients. And it's just this booming, blossoming, activated, deep awareness. And I'm so thankful. And thank you, Jessica, for your radiant heart and your strength of heart to share so vulnerably all the parts of you and just owning all of yourself. And your work in the world is so profound and powerful, and empowerment, right? Empowerment work here. And so I really acknowledge you for where you're at in the stage of growth you are in your business and the supporting of these amazing women, and all that's unfolding for you right now in life is just incredible. And the awakening that's taken place in the women's hearts through this deeper shadow work, right? And that's it. Where do we hold shame about what's happened to us? And we can peel away those layers. And I really hear that is a lighthouse that you hold for these women of let's look here. Let's investigate here. Let's hold you here so that you can find the treasure of you and the gold of you, right? And that just touches me so deeply. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, you too. Whew. The way you speak and express, so yummy. I would,
part of your community, love.
Yes, and we would love to have you in our. We'd love to have you there sharing. You have so many gifts to offer, and and I know it. Thank you. And I know I showered you throughout the show. But thank you. Thank you for this work. Thank you for being brave and bold and courageous and brave hearts. That's what I feel like, just the brave hearts. This is like that new movement of showing again how to lead and embody and give people permission. So thank you. Such a gift, such an honor to be here.
It is such an honor to have you too. Thank you. Thank you for also being a powerful leader in the world. And like, this is the beginning, right? Like it's amazing. And I just wanted to say, Heather, thank you, Heather, for your comment. Women growing their flowers out of the mud of life. And it is so true. Like that just really resonated with me.
The lotus, right? The lotus grows out of the mud and all the stuff.
Yeah, it's like I can shine no matter what muddy, mucky waters I've had to walk through or be a part of.
So true. Yay.
And some of us are country girls and really love that stuff. Thank you all for watching tonight, today, whenever you're watching it. It could be whatever time of the day in the universe that you live in. And if you want to catch us next week, we also have a really powerful guest too. So thank you all for being here and showing up really in your truth and for the work and for the shadow and for your shadow and your self-love. We'll see you next week.
Yes. Have a really wonderful week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.